Hey everybody, Gunston Undercover here. Today is Sunday, April 26, 2020. Time is 10:13 a.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time. I am down here at Union Beach waterfront and it's very cloudy and windy and the water is choppy, but I can see New York a little bit. So today's topic is fear. I've been seeing a lot of it. I've been seeing it on the news. I've been seeing it on YouTube. I've been seeing it on the internet. It is all over the place. With all this free time we have, many people are occupying their free time with fear. So I'm going to read to you a passage from a well-known doctor, Dr. Wayne Dyer, who has written many books. He has saved my life. I turned to him when I was about the age of 22 to start seeking out answers because I was confused and had a lot of mind viruses. Still have them. Some of those viruses are really deeply rooted and it takes a lifetime to get rid of them. Think about some of the mind viruses you have. Right now, there's a pandemic of mind virus, and that is the fear. The fear of what may happen. So let me read this passage and then we'll continue. Dr. Wayne W. Dyer says, worry is a technique you create to fill the moments of your life. What is worry? I define it this way. Worry is the act of becoming immobilized in the present moment as a result of things that are going or not going to happen in the future. The key word here is present moment. Worry, then, is a technique you have created in order to use up the now moments of your life, rather than choosing to use these precious present moments living a fully functioning happy life. Everything that you have that has ever happened to you did not happen in the past. It happened in the present moment, and everything that will ever happen to you will not occur in the future. It will take place in the now as well. So every moment you elect to spend in worrying is your way of using up your nows by not being fully present in your life. Your worry list can be long indeed. Your health, your family, the economy, your security, your job. All of it is a means for you to occupy your mind here and now as an excuse to avoid living. A worrier sits around and thinks about things and remains inactive, while a doer refuses to occupy the precious present moments of his or her life and sets aside futile mental activity. Think back to all the things you worried about 15 years ago. How did that worry impact the outcome that have become your very life? Now examine all the things you worry about today. Remind yourself that in 15 years, all you will have done with your worry mind is avoid living fully in your present moments. Well, what do you think about that, people? Living in the now. I live in the now. You know what else lives in the now? Animals live in the now. Animals, they don't worry about yesterday, and I don't think they think about tomorrow, because if they did, they'd be aware of death, right? An animal doesn't know it's going to die. Just gets up every morning and does what it has to do. But us humans are different. So the big pandemic, scamdemic, this is a pandemic. This is bigger than the virus itself. Is fear. It is everywhere. You go on the news and you've got the fear. Oh, the numbers, all the people. You know, Dr. Fauci says, oh, millions are going to die. So then the government responds, because if the government doesn't respond to it, and I know how the government responds to problems, it takes a sledgehammer to kill an ant. So it gets all these ventilators, it sends all these mobile morgues and sets up these emergency tents outside a hospital in case a gazillion people show up in the emergency room. All these things that it did. And now we're seeing that it's not happening. Now there are areas where it's much more condensed, like you go up to Union County, you go up to Essex County, Bergen County, all those areas up there where it's very much more populated. So yeah, the hospitals are going to have a little more activity going on as opposed to here in Monmouth County, where I've reported 2 hospitals. I've been to 3 hospitals now, and They're not busting at the seams with dead bodies, people. I can tell you that right now. Every hospital I've been to, I can count the amount of bodies in the refrigerator with 5 fingers and probably 1 left over. So I'm not seeing it here in Monmouth County. I know there's a couple big mouths out there that say, well, you got to go over here and you got to go over there. No, you go over there. You go make the video. I'm talking about Monmouth County. I talk about things that I know. I'm not going to speculate on up there. I'm not there. I don't know. One could reasonably conclude that, yeah, it's more populated. New York City's more populated. It's going to have more people. So that's fear of that. Then you've got the news media that's putting all this fear out. The fear that Trump isn't doing the right thing. The fear you better stay home and wear your mask. You better wear your mask all the time. And I don't know what's going on with you idiots out there. Okay? And I'm addressing to these ones. They're walking down the road. I see it. I see it down here at the waterfront in Union Beach. I see it along the road. People walking around with a mask on. The mask is not protecting you from anything. It's not. All it's doing is creating a little bit of a barrier, but if you're walking down the road and there's nobody around you, what are you getting? The virus isn't there. But this is fear. This is fear-driven, what they're doing. Then you got the people that yell at me. Because I get on and tell people, your fears don't trump my rights. There's no asterisk in the Bill of Rights that says the Bill of Rights, your constitutional rights will be suspended in the event of some fear. Some pandemic, scamdemic, some kind of fear. There's no asterisk in it. It clearly says what your rights are. But these people go, I don't need you out there walking around and giving the virus to somebody and then they'll die. That's fear. These people are so immobilized by fear. I've said this word before, prior to even reading this passage. I said in other videos, these people are so immobilized by fear that they're home. And heaven forbid, if you go out there and exercise your rights, that they're going to have a meltdown. These are these little mini Nazis out there that they need the government to regulate. These people really do need it because they're not capable of critical thinking. They don't have their own mind to think. They're lost. They are lost. And this is why the government is getting away with what it's getting away with, the politicians. This is what's enabling this whole thing. And it's not just the news, it's on YouTube also. I went to High Impact Vlogs YouTube channel. Now, generally speaking, I agree with a lot with what he has to say. But my opinion is he is a fearmonger also. Everything you watch on his channel is all about fear, all about fear. You better be careful. You don't this, don't do that. Now, he put a video up recently. There's 2 doctors from California, ER doctors, that got up there and pretty much said what I said the other day, what other doctors are saying the other day, and they got up and said the numbers don't match. People are dying with COVID, but they're not dying from COVID. And I will vouch for that. Every person I picked up had a problem, a prior problem. It was a heart-related disease problem. I got a guy the other day, he was 400 pounds. He had problems. I could just see visually, I could see that he had problems just by looking at the skin, the redness on his skin, the psoriasis and everything. Man had no circulation. He had heart problems up the wazoo. And his body caught something, and it's just one more thing that the body had to deal with, and the body says, you know what, we're out of here, we're done. But for most of us, good immune systems, we're going to be fine. But Brian from High Impact got on there and said, these doctors are doing real good, but now these doctors want everybody to get tested. Oh, we can't have testing, we can't have this. Now, I'm not for mandatory testing, but this is my opinion about testing. And I've already said this before in other videos. If the numbers say 6,000 people in New Jersey died And we all know that number is flawed. I know it's flawed because anybody with a respiratory problem right now who dies is being listed as COVID. Never mind the fact they had a heart attack and dropped in the local deli. Never mind the fact they were in a car accident. Never mind the fact that they were in hospice dying from pancreatic cancer. Never mind any of that. They're all dying from COVID. So now that inflates the numbers. So we know that right there. We know the numbers are incorrect. Period. So if 6,000 people die from the COVID here in New Jersey and they've only tested 100,000, well, you take the 6,000 divided by 100,000, that gives you your death rate. But guess what? I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of people live in New Jersey. Maybe somebody can look that up and give me the number. So say, for instance, I don't know, just for argument purposes, say there's 1 million people living in the state of New Jersey. And you take that 6,000, because the death rate number, if today we all magically took a test, and the death rate today on Sunday, April 26th was 6,000 people, and we magically all took the test today, and it was 1 million people, and I don't know, say out of that 1 million people, 500,000 tested positive. Well, guess what? Take that 6,000 and divide it by 500,000, and guess what? That death rate number comes right down like that. So the numbers are incorrect. And my point here is, high impact is, we don't need the government testing us. We don't need the government doing this. We don't need the government doing it. And I agree, I don't need the government doing it. I don't want a mandatory test. But if the government says, hey, you want to go down to the Hazlitt Immediate Care Facility and get a test and we'll pay for it, great, I'm there. You want to test for antibodies? Great, I'm there. Because then I can know I got it. And anybody wants to give me some shit, I'll give them the finger and say, F you, get lost. But getting that test done, we get the accurate numbers, or a better accurate, because we know the testing for it is inaccurate, but the antibodies test is going to be much more accurate, because there's 2 tests. So if we're testing for the antibodies, and now we got a more accurate number as to how many people, we can shut these idiots up. We can shut this stupid lamestream cable news down that keeps putting out these fake numbers. But, you know, High Impact, just like many others, are using fear. Fear is the marketing tool. I haven't found anything positive on his channel. I mean, the guy's got a successful channel. He's putting out some, you know, relevant stuff, but I do see that he's getting a lot of information from other places, and he's exploited it and make it look like he's a smart person. So I do see through some of it. I'm not to put this guy down. He's doing a good job. I'm just saying that he is marketing fear. The news media is marketing fear. Corporate America is marketing fear. Fear, fear, fear. And this fear is immobilizing everybody to the point where they are willing to give up their rights. They are willing to go bankrupt. They are willing to turn their neighbors in. The police putting on their Facebook page, if you see something going on, report it. So now we're turning in our neighbors because we're fearful. I got to tell you, people, you got to get rid of the fear. I don't get up in the morning and be fearful. When I have to go to the hospital and I have to pick up somebody that's labeled COVID on the bag, am I fearful? No. Concerned? Yes. Concerned because we don't fully know what this is all about. But I'm not immobilized. I just say, you know what? I'll put a mask on. Maybe I'll put some glasses on. I got my gloves. I'm mindful of what touches me. I get the bag. I put it on the gurney. If I got some Lysol spray, which we're all out of now, I take the Lysol and I spray the outside of the bag down. And then I put it in there. And then when I get back to the funeral home, that's it. It's on the directives. But I'm not immobilized. When the boss says, hey, can you go do this? Yeah, man, I'm there. But what we're finding out is this virus, though, if you get it, it does hit you hard. But it's no worse, the numbers are no worse than the seasonal flu. And my suggestion to everybody out there, based on what I'm seeing, and And I'm right there seeing it. I'm seeing the end results. I don't know any other person out there doing what I'm doing who has my experience as on the end of the food chain there of this pandemic, scandemic. The people that are dying are overweight, have underlying heart disease problems, they got diabetes, they got cancer. These are the people dying, primarily the 50s and up. And the older you get, the worse it gets. So, and generally speaking, most of the people we're seeing are in their 80s or 90s. So, yeah, senior citizens, you need to stay home. You need to stay home until we stay home, but be mindful. I'm not saying you gotta lock yourself in a house and you shouldn't go for a walk in the park or can't go to the grocery store or something like that. If you're worried about, if you're at that stage of life where you got a lot of health problems, do online shopping and have it delivered to you. That's an easy way out of that. These nitwits walking down the street with masks on, they're walking down here in the waterfront, the wind's blowing, they got masks on. I'm like, this is bizarro world. This is absolute bizarro world. This gun is an undercover. You got some fears? Let me hear about your fears. Till next time.